Hello, my strong friends. Hello, reminder, I am totally freaking pregnant right now. In this video, I want to share with you how my fitness goals have changed during pregnancy. I'm making this video to give you a life update of like how my training myself has changed, but also not just my own experience, like my own personal experience, but if you didn't know, my name is Meg. I make videos here on YouTube about getting strong. So a lot of this will be on strength training recommendations. And I have also completed my certification of the, this is a pre and postnatal certification. So I'm coming to this video from the perspective of already a strength coach, but someone who has a certification in giving advice to pregnant people and postpartum people as well. So I hope that if you are pregnant or postpartum or interested in getting pregnant, that this video will be helpful to you, give you some ideas of what I've done. Now, if you're listening to my experience and what I've changed, keep in mind, especially when you're coaching pregnant clients, everything is going to depend on the skill level of the pregnant client, their comfort level, how experienced they are, how they're feeling during that particular stage of pregnancy, and a couple of other things. And I'm gonna put them here on the screen so that you know. But keep in mind, everyone's pregnancy is going to be different. I'm entering my pregnancy with a different perspective and with different experience and at a different training level than you probably are, whether you're more trained than me or less trained than me. So keep that in mind. I do recommend, of course, if you're brand new to training, to maybe see a personal trainer. Of course, check with your doctor to ensure that you are clear to exercise. The general rule of thumb that has been preached to us is that you shouldn't do anything in pregnancy that you didn't already do before pregnancy. And if you did it before pregnancy, then you're free to continue doing it while you're pregnant. Did I say that right? I hope so. Well, that advice isn't extremely helpful and it's pretty limited because obviously if you were scuba diving or downhill snowboard racing, I wish I could snowboard, or if you were playing football before pregnancy, all of those things like contact sports and sports where you have a high risk of falling, those are contraindicated. So that's one example. And then if you're someone who has never trained before, under the guidance of your healthcare team and an experienced personal trainer, under some guidance on the physical fitness side, you are free to begin exercising so long as it is cleared and you start with a very low intensity and low duration of exercise. You can build up and start to build your fitness. There are so many benefits of exercise for pregnant women. I have some notes here because I don't want to miss anything. And this is a sensitive topic because on YouTube, there aren't many resources and there aren't many coaches that I follow on Instagram who talk about pre and postnatal training. So hopefully this will be helpful. So I just don't want to miss anything is why I say that. So if I'm going to be the only freaking video that talks about it here on YouTube, I'm sure there's more than just me, but I want to make sure that I'm covering everything. So let's first talk about the benefits of exercise and why I will continue doing exercise. Of course, on the weight management side, exercise through pregnancy, will prevent excessive weight gain. It'll reduce the risk of gestational diabetes. It will decrease the risk of high blood pressure that's associated with with pregnancy, which is training in a way. Things like preeclampsia, which can be dangerous conditions. It'll decrease the postpartum recovery time. I'll talk a lot about that in this video. And it can help decrease the risk of low back pain or the severity of low back pain, which is really common in pregnancy. It can help your mood and prevent symptoms of depression during pregnancy. You basically have an identity crisis. Many people will have an identity crisis while they experience pregnancy, and that's something that exercise has been shown to assist with. Of course, you maintain your physical fitness, which is a good thing. It can prevent postpartum weight retention. It may reduce the risk of a C-section delivery. You can improve your sleep with exercise. A lot of these things are things that are benefits that you can experience without being pregnant, but also your cardiorespiratory fitness is necessary because your heart and your lungs are working for 2 organisms, not just one anymore. In that list, I do mention preventing excessive weight gain or postpartum weight retention or getting back into training. And a lot of those things fall into the weight management category, but it's important to recognize that a pregnant person is not just training and in the gym so that they can get their pre-baby body back. To reduce women who are pregnant training in the gym to that is extremely offensive. And unfortunately, it's so misinformed that people can see a person who's pregnant or visibly pregnant training and they say, oh, why are you doing that? It's so selfish. It's so bad for your baby, when maintaining exercise is one of the best things that you can do for yourself and your baby. So hopefully this video helps raise awareness that it's recommended by experts that women should be active daily during pregnancy. It's recommended that women get at least 150 minutes of exercise each week. So let's do this. That's what the professionals are recommending. So it's so annoying because I've seen so many of my peers exercise during pregnancy because they're fitness professionals or personal trainers, and so many uninformed people like to tell you that you're doing something wrong because everyone knows already that women, it's so common for women in strength to get opinions from everyone just in general about the fact that they're lifting, existing and being a woman. But then when you have a baby and you're growing a baby, the opinions I feel like they multiply. So I'm excited to deal with that. I'm not showing right now, so it hasn't been too much, but hopefully my experience can help raise awareness. Hopefully. One thing that I do want to talk about, because I myself am an athlete and I treat my training sessions as such, as if I'm training. A lot of times it's for an event. Since I've been trying to conceive, I have not been interested in training for an event, but I am approaching my pregnancy and approaching childbirth as an opportunity to participate in the endurance event that is giving birth. I'm excited. At least I don't have to do a weight cut for this one. Just kidding. No, literally. So approaching it, and I want to bring this point up because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are athletes and they may feel crappy about losing a part of their identity due to not being able to train in the way that they would prefer to. But I am approaching my pregnancy with the mindset of like training, tapering, recovery, managing my stress, and keeping my self-care in mind so that I can give birth and then recover from that. So it's helpful to reframe my mindset as like the pregnant athlete and just think of it in that way. So to go along with that, as I've been modifying exercises, I've really tried to keep in mind that my exercise modifications are something that are making it so that I can return to the intensities and exercises that I'm used to in a quicker time frame than I would had I just kept doing them in pregnancy. And yeah, I hope that that kind of shift in mindset gives you insight on how I have shifted what I'm doing, because there are a lot of things that I wish I could do or that I physically can do, but they may not be the best thing for me in postpartum. It may just prolong my recovery. Let's talk about pregnancy changes that will affect training, whether you yourself are pregnant or you're training a pregnant client, perhaps. Let me tell you what I went through. So common symptoms of pregnancy, things like nausea, fatigue, pelvic pain. You want to take some considerations for diastasis recti, which nearly 100% of women will experience some form of it, in ranging severities, obviously. You also want to consider pre and postpartum depression and the loss of identity that you experience, which in my case, and maybe if you're watching this and really interested in fitness, that might be your case as well. And last, as pregnancy progresses, you will experience your center of gravity will change. So that will affect exercise selection, your balance and stability. And that's not an exhaustive list. All of those things to say that there are a lot of changes that happen during pregnancy that you will want to accommodate for, whether it be for yourself or a client. So my current goals during pregnancy are to try and maintain whatever muscle and strength I have to some extent. I want to maintain, and I think I can improve my cardiorespiratory system, my cardiorespiratory endurance, strength. What do I say there? And I want to use exercise to better manage my stress and improve my sleep. One change that I did not mention is you have to pee all the time when you're pregnant, and that is something that has woken me up at night and really disrupted my sleep. And of course, as I will soon be a mother, I would love to get as much sleep as I can during pregnancy to like make up for whatever sleep debt I will have in the future, I guess, but also ensure that I'm managing whatever fatigue I have. Frequency of urination is something that is like a symptom of a symptom because it disrupts my sleep so much. So it has been helpful for me to raise some of my cardiovascular exercise and just like go on more frequent walks so I'm more active during the day because it helps me sleep a little bit better. More specifically on the strength and muscle gain side, I do want to focus a little bit more on my upper back strength, my posterior chain, and my core strength. Obviously my upper back, because my boobs have really gotten heavier and they will continue to get heavier and bigger as my pregnancy progresses. And also my core strength, I do want to ensure with my core that I am protecting and strengthening my pelvic floor and also understanding how to contract and relax my pelvic floor. And posterior chain is so that I can just maintain my strength. I'm going to need posterior chain strength for giving birth, I think. Anyway, those are my focus. Mostly it's my core strength and my upper back and shoulders. There are a few things that I'm trying my best just not to consider, although it's not as simple as that. Some of these are easy, like I'm not interested in trying any new contact sports or training for aesthetics. Just not interested in it. It's just not a goal of mine. Perhaps I shall do a contact sport. I would have loved to go snowboarding or something this winter because I could actually like drive to snowboard somewhere, but that's just not in the cards for me because I will definitely fall and I want to limit any risk of falling for me and my baby. I'm also not focused on hitting any new rep maxes or training at low volumes and high intensities. Just not something that I can do, even though I could do it, but is it going to be the best thing for my pelvic floor? No. It's just not. It's not worth the risk when I can train at more moderate intensities and still experience the challenge of lifting weights. I've just adjusted to be in higher rep ranges, more of like a hypertrophy rep range. And I'm also not interested in exercising for the purpose of weight management or burning calories. Those just aren't really on my radar. And so far it's been easy because I haven't been showing, so I haven't had much of a experience with my body changing too much and a dissatisfaction with how my body's changing. So I'll keep you guys updated on how that feels. I'm sure it will be something to deal with and I'll try to share as much as I can with that, but just not yet. So like I said, the reps and my intensities have changed. I'm focusing more on those higher rep ranges to force a more moderate intensity. So obviously I cannot lift as much weight as I can in my 15 rep range as I can in my 3 rep range. So I've just adjusted to those higher rep ranges. I think I mentioned this, but earlier in my pregnancy, I was going a little harder than recommended because I just felt like I can do it, it's not that hard. But I eventually decided like it's best for me to bring it back a little bit so that again, I don't add to any stress on my pelvic floor that's already starting to build some stress down there. Even though I feel fine lifting that amount, it just is unnecessary for me right now, and I can easily enjoy my workout with just higher rep ranges. Some positions have also changed. Instead of doing regular bench press, I'm doing feet up bench press just for the position of my spine in that one. It's just unnecessary for me to be in a position where I'm in spinal extension, and it's more comfortable for me to do feet up bench press, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I prefer feet up bench press anyway. I can safely set my shoulders without getting in an arch or anything like that. With bench press, I want to mention that there are some contraindications to lying on your back for prolonged periods of time. So that's something to keep in mind as your pregnancy progresses, especially. You want to keep an eye out or a feeling out for any tingling of the legs when you're lying on your back for an exercise. The recommendation is to avoid it for prolonged periods of time, but that's not really defined, and there are kind of different recommendations from experts throughout the world. So listen to your body. If you do notice tingling or anything like that, you can always just go for an incline instead of a completely supinated on your back position for things like the bench press. The consideration there is that the weight of the baby as the baby gets heavier may constrict your vena cava, and that's obviously something that you want to avoid. So if you feel lightheaded or experience that tingling, maybe just do some incline work. You get pretty much the same exercise. With that, you're likely during pregnancy to roll on your back during sleep. When you visit the doctor, you're on your back as well. So probably not gonna kill you, but listen to your body. I also want to keep an eye out for things like coning and splitting of my abdomen during certain exercises. So as pregnancy progresses and your stomach expands, your rectus abdominis muscles will separate, and connecting them together is the linea alba, which is a thin connective tissue. And in some exercises, and even people who aren't pregnant, you can notice some coning or presence of intra-abdominal pressure and air pushing against the linea alba, which is something that you want to avoid because the linea alba is not very, well, I guess it's pretty strong, but you want to avoid pressing, putting pressure against that and controlling your intra-abdominal pressure in the places where it's supposed to. Again, requires its own video, so I can make that if you would like to hear more about that. But to go along with that and keeping an eye on things like coning and splitting, I'm also avoiding any use of the Valsalva maneuver, which being a strength athlete is something that I've always depended on. So that's been a little bit of an adjustment, and I'm no longer doing that in any exercise. But now instead I'm breathing in on the eccentric portion and then breathing out on the concentric, just controlling my breath throughout the entire movement, and also trying to connect that breath with my pelvic floor. Last thing, when it comes to strength, I'm trying my best to consider what exercises I can do to ensure that I'm training so that I'm ready to have a baby. So things like weighted carries, unilateral carries, pressing, pushing, thinking about lifting a human child with the strength that I need to do it. I feel like I'm pretty strong, but I'm sure more unilateral carries will be beneficial through pregnancy. When I started trying to conceive, I began running every weekday with the goal of improving my cardiovascular health, and knowing that that was something that I wanted to maintain during pregnancy. So I run about 1.1 miles. I thought it was a mile, but it's a little over a mile, so I have to let you know. I run a little over a mile 5 days a week at a pretty moderate intensity. It's at a like conversational pace, so I'm not very fast. It's not impressive at all, but it is something that I sometimes look forward to. I don't always look forward to it. So I do it like sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week, and it's of moderate intensity. So That's something that I'm glad I was doing before pregnancy so that I could just continue throughout. I may not feel comfortable enough to run as my pregnancy progresses, but I'm just gonna see how I feel. We just got a treadmill and I can always go on walks to replace that. And yeah, we'll see how I feel. I would love to continue some sort of heart pumping exercise, but I'm just gonna play it by ear and listen to my body. With that, I've also introduced things like cycling because it started getting cold, so I wanted to do cycling instead of some of my runs. So that's something that's completely new to me, but I felt confident because I've been to cycling classes before. Not a ton, but obviously I have like an Airdyne in my gym that I use from time to time to warm up, and it wasn't completely foreign to me. It's not like I'd never been to a spin class before, but it was something new that I was introducing. I go maybe like once a week or in replace of one of my 1 mile runs, and I am not a hero in that class, and I have no interest in being a hero. I take many things at my own pace, but I like the coach there who helps push me a little bit. And yeah, I'm not a hero. The same thing goes with I have been doing a Legree class to try and increase my core strength. Again, I'm keeping an eye on my abdomen and my diaphragmatic breath during that, and taking it as moderate intensity and low intensity as I can, because those are new things to me. I'm no hero in this class. They are difficult, but it's not anything that seems impossible or that I'm dying from. And I feel confident enough in my ability to listen to my body and know when too much is too much and when I'm feeling like pretty damn good. So those are two things that I did introduce, kind of going against the, I guess, original rule of thumb of not doing anything new. Again, these are things that I've spoken to my doctor about and cleared to do. And if you want to try something new, then talk to a professional and talk to your doctor. So that is basically my pregnancy fitness goals and how I've adjusted what I've always done to what I'm doing now in preparation of the event of giving birth and continuing to be pregnant. So I hope that this video was helpful. Of course, I would recommend, if you are able to work with someone in your area in person, even if it's a couple of sessions or one session a week, work with a personal trainer who has a CPPC, a pre and postnatal coaching certification, certified pre and postnatal coach. That will be really helpful because I have taken away so much on my certification, and I feel like it is nice to have a community of people around you who understand things like your nausea and your fatigue, and they can kind of meet you where you're at and not make you feel bad or fragile, because pregnant women are not fragile. They can do a lot of things, but there are things that you should be aware of, and things that you should maybe adjust so that whenever you do give birth and are postpartum, you can come back to training as you wish. So I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please do let me know down in the comments and give me a like on this video, and I will see you